The views and opinions of the guests on the Wylener Show are those of the guests and are not necessarily the views and opinions of the hostess Wylener and or her co-host.
She's always dealing with reality. When love she involved on sounds of the heart. She knows that the song will make you grow. I want to find out what you need to know. The time is the go to know. Oh, Mr. Road, I'm not saying what it is.
What's up, guys? What's up, guys? What's up, guys? What's up, guys? How y'all doing? Woo! Oh, boy. Oh, boy. I am so glad to be back here again today. Oh, yes, it's about to be on. Y'all know what show this is, and y'all know who I am. I'm Wylener, the Las Vegas Queen of Gospel, and y'all know what show this is. This is the Wylener Show, and this is where the rubber meets the road, and we are about to make the rubber meet the road up in here today. You gotta strap up your boots and get ready for the rubber to meet the road. It's about to be on, everybody. I'm excited. I'm excited. I'm excited. Oh, am I so excited? Oh, boy, I tell you. Oh, y'all know how I am. I just get excited when I'm doing the Wylener Show. I just can't help myself. Okay, and I just want to welcome everybody back. I want to welcome everybody who is out there, all the Facebook fans, all the Twitter fans, all the listeners, all the people on YouTube, and everybody who is watching out there on WylenerTVShow.com. Thank you, thank you, thank you so much for tuning in again today. And I want to give you that second disclaimer. You know what I always tell you. This is a very serious show. This is a hard-hitting show. And you may want to think long and hard to see if you can cope with the information that is about to be released here on this show. Just keep in mind, everyone, this is to educate you. The Wylener Show makes the rubber meet the road, and that means that I bring it. Okay? And some of you may not be able to deal with it nor accept this information. But just keep in mind, everyone, it's your decision, not my decision for you. Okay? And today's show, prayer in schools. Prayer in schools. Why pray in schools? To pray or not to pray? That is the question. Okay, so I told you what you better do. You better strap up your boots and get ready for this because I've got something for you. Okay, so listen, everybody, if you want to shoot me an email, please do that at WylenerTVShow@AOL.com. That's WylenerTVShow@AOL.com with your topics, your suggestions, your questions, and your comments. Okay, and friend me on Facebook if you will. Please subscribe, please subscribe, please subscribe, please subscribe, and please subscribe to my YouTube channel. Okay, and the phone lines will probably be open today. I'm not absolutely sure if we're going to open up the phone lines, but if we do, the phone lines will be open at 702-850-5580. That's 702-850-5580. And when you call in, say what you have to say, ask your questions of my guests. Don't ask me any questions because I have no answers for you. Don't call in here asking me nothing because it's just not going to get answered. Not by me anyway. Okay, that's why I got these these experts on the show, these people on the show that's going to give you their point of view. Okay? And so when you call in, make sure you mute your speakers, ask your question on the phone, hang up the phone, and take your answer off the air. If you're not satisfied with the answer that they give you, that you get, call back in. Okay? That's all you got to do is just call in again and again. It works for me. I'm okay with it. Okay? But listen to me. Don't be rude to my guests. Okay? Please do not be rude. If you call in here tripping and potato chipping, I'm going to do what I tell you, and that's introduce you to what I call a brand new click, and that's hang up the phone on you. Okay? So make sure you can call in and you can disagree with my guests. You can tell them, hey, I think you are wrong. Okay? I beg to differ. Prove to me what you are saying is true. You have a right to do that. And no, I don't believe that. I'm not going to believe it. That's it. That's all. I don't care what you say. I got mine and you got yours. Okay, you can say that. It's all right with me, just as long as you say it respectably. Okay? And also, if the line is busy, just hang up and call back again. If you can't get through, just keep trying until you get through. Okay? Don't give up on us now, because somebody might be on the line talking at that moment, and that means you can't be on. So, do your best to get back with us, okay? And so listen. Okay. Don't leave a message either, because if you leave a message, I'm not gonna get it. I'm not sitting here checking voicemails, okay? So don't leave no message. All right. So listen, we had four guests scheduled for today, and right now, as it stands, we have 3. and contrary to belief, I expected the one that's not here to be here, and the one that's here to not be here, and that's just how it is. But you know how things go in internet, television, computer technology land. Okay, so sooner or later we'll find out what happened with my other guest, and that was Mr. Andrew SCHATKIN. I'm not sure exactly where he is and what happened to him, but anyway, it is what it is. Okay, so listen, I have 3 guests with me, and ooh, it's about to be on up in here, y'all. You better brace yourself and sit back and hold on to your seat. It's going to be a roller coaster ride on this trip right here. I said roller coaster. I don't know, the roller coaster might jump the tracks and the roller might meet the road like that, because the roller coaster might end up down there somewhere instead of up on the track. You know how that works. Okay, so anyway, I'd like to introduce my guests that I have with me today. I'm excited about these guys that are on the Wileena Show today, and I'm going to be introducing them to you right about now. Before I do that, I usually do a little commercial break. I don't think I'm going to do it today, but I'm going to do one like this, okay? Try your best to support the Wileena Show, okay? If you like this show, click the pay button up there at the top of the screen, drop it down, and drop in a little donation to the Wileena Show, okay? Shoot me a donation, and it helps us to market everything that we market, the show, the other people's books, and all this stuff, the guests that are on the show. It helps us to put the word out about everybody, all right? So try to support the Wileena Show financially. If you will, it'd be greatly appreciated. And if you want to send a letter or a check or anything like that, shoot that over to 420 North Nellis Boulevard, Suite A3. 420 North Nellis Boulevard, Suite A3, Las Vegas, Nevada, 89110. Okay, and just write Wileena. You see the name back there, Wileaner. That's me, and it is me, the only me. Okay, all right. So listen, I want to go ahead and introduce my guests. Today, I'm excited about my guests that are here, and I want to start by introducing my return guest, and then I will introduce my brand new guest. Okay, and so I was supposed to have 2 return guests and 2 brand new guests. So it looks like I have 1 return guest and 2 brand new guests. Okay, so my first guest, my return guest. Listen, you guys, we are talking about prayer in schools, and I'm talking to atheists and Christian. Okay, atheists and Christian, and hello. We're going to see how that's going to work. Okay, so look, I'm excited to have back with me Joe Rawlins. Joe Rawlins is that of the atheists. He's that of the atheist belief. And Joe Rawlins, welcome back to the Wild Leader Show. Boy, you seem to be you're starting to get to be a piece of the furniture around here on the set at the Wild Leader Show. What's going on, Joe? How you doing?
Thank you very much, Ms. Weiliner. I'm a lucky piece of furniture at that. It's been a great experience coming back on the show. It's always lovely to see your lovely face and to talk with you. And this is one of my favorite discussions to get loud about. So we'll see how this goes. We'll have a respectful and fun conversation, and hopefully we'll learn something.
Okay, Joe. We're going to see if we're going to learn something today. Well, you know what? Everybody always learns something on the Wild Leader Show. Every time the show comes on, we always learn something, okay? And the people that view it either live or later, they always learn something, all right? Okay, so look, I have two new guests, and I'm going to start by introducing the second guest, and the second guest is Matthew Wiseman. Mr. Matthew Wiseman, and no, I'm sorry, Michael. I can't seem to get my, you know what? This guy has told me more than once. His name is Michael. And I can't seem to get Mike. I can't seem to get Matthew out of my mind for some reason. Michael Wiseman. Michael. I'm going to keep saying Michael. Okay, Michael. I got you now. Michael Wiseman, thank you so much for joining the Wild Leader Show for the very first time. And tell everybody a little bit about who you are and where you're from. Tell us where you're chiming in from. I also didn't ask Joe to do that, and I'll come back to you, Joe, for you to do that as well. I want you to tell us a little bit about who you are, Michael, and where you're from, where you're chiming in from, and just a little bit about who you are, Michael. Thank you. Go ahead.
Thanks for having me on. My name is Mike Wiseman, not Matthew, but it's okay. We can go with that. I run a little show called The Bible Says What? I'm currently in Las Vegas. I debate pastors and other religious leaders on my show. Conversations, debates, depends on how it goes. But thanks for having me on. I appreciate it.
Wonderful. Well, this is going to be interesting. Well, you know, it's not a debate today, okay, Michael? But anyway, we going to get some questions and some information you all put out there, though. You can best believe that. All righty. So listen, I want to go to my third guest. And my third guest is with us also, and his name is William Cummings. And William Cummings sometimes is called a cowboy, some type of cowboy singing or something like that. I don't know, but I'll let him tell us about. William, tell us who you are, where you're from, where you're chiming in from, and let us know just a little bit about you, William. Go right ahead, please.
I've been around for a few decades, and when I started out on a farm back in Ohio, I wanted to be a cowboy. And when I was 18, I was on stage and radio with a big Palomino stallion named King. So that was the end of a big dream for me. Now, 9 years later, I became a professional engineer. And that's what happens when you meet the Lord when you're 20 years old. So I got a lot of living under my belt, and I got a lot of living yet to do. Thank you.
Well, that's wonderful. And thank you so much, William Cummings. And we didn't have all of your audio there, but I'll let everybody know that you are chiming in from Florida. I'm not exactly sure what part of Florida. Can you tell us what part of Florida you are chiming in from, William, please?
Yeah, I'm in Port Orange, and that's part of Daytona Beach over on the East Coast.
Okay. All right. Thank you very much. Now, Joe, can you tell everybody where you are chiming in from as well? Joe, please. Thank you, Joe.
You're very welcome. I am chiming in from beautiful and sunny Salt Lake City, Utah. I am not a Mormon. I'm an ex-Mormon. I wrote a book called The Core Horror Argument. I'm very grateful for all the some 30 or 40 people who have read it. Yeah, I'm an ex-Mormon atheist and an author from out here in Utah, and I love it here.
Okay. Well, let's see. It looks like we got a little something going on here. So I'm looking forward to what's about to take place. Okay. So listen, I want to go ahead and get started with the questions and the answers, guys. Let's get this party started. I want to know, guys, are you ready for the rubber to meet the road? And you don't need to answer, because if you're not, shame on you. Okay. Okay, so first question, and I'm going to direct this first question to William Cummings. The first question is, do you believe in a superior being such as God, etc.? And I just simply want a yes or no. Bill?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay, thank you. All right, so same question, Michael. I'm going to get it right. Okay, I'm going to get it right. Michael Wiseman, I want to know, do you believe in a God or some type of superior being? And I just simply want a yes or a no, please, Michael.
No.
Thank you. All righty. And same question to you, Joe Rawlins. Same question. Do you believe in a God or a superior being of some type, Joe?
No. I could be convinced though, but no.
Okay. All right. So looky here. Let's get this party started. Okay. So please explain, and this question is going to go to William Cummings. Please explain why you believe what you believe or don't believe. And what do you call this God? And why do you call this God this name? Okay, so that's several questions in one now. Okay, please explain, why do you believe what you believe? And what do you call this God that you say you believe in? And why do you call this God this name? And that question is going to Bill.
Thank you. That's a good question. I grew up outside the church in a Christian community, in a Christian family. When I was 20, I picked up a little Bible that the Gideons had given me in high school, started reading the scriptures in the front and the back. It's one of those little Bibles that you can put in your pocket. And all of a sudden, I realized that there was a whole world out there that I didn't know about. Those scriptures led me to a very short prayer like, God, if this is true, show me what it means. And God showed up in a big way. Paul has tried to explain it, and I'd have to say it's very similar to his lifting up and revelation. It was awesome. And right at that moment, I knew that God was real. And that's been since 1951. I'm sorry, I was 20 and I was still in showbiz, but he turned my life around. And I think I'm God's first singing cowboy engineer. That's my belief today.
Okay, thank you, Bill. So did you tell me what you call this? I keep hearing you say God. So capital God is what I'm assuming. But I asked you the question, what do you call this God, and why do you call this God what you call him, please?
Okay. I call him Father, same as Jesus did. The Lord's Prayer is something I believe that Jesus prayed every day, and it's something that I pray every day. So I call him God the Father. And in my own life, I go back and relate it to my days on the farm when I would get up in the morning. And as I grew older, Dad began to treat me like a son. And so I assumed sonship at about age 16. And when I was 18, he said, I think it's time you go out and get a job. So I did that. But I was already a showbiz headliner in the showbiz arena. And so
Okay.
it was quite a switch for me.
Okay. All right. Thank you. Okay. Listen, let me move over here. I'm gonna go over here to Joe. Oh yeah. Uh-huh. I'm gonna go over here to Joe. Joe Rawlins. I want you to tell me. Well, you said you don't believe in a God, so you're gonna take the other side of this question and tell me why do you not believe? And I did ask about the God, what you call the God, what name you call the God. But I guess if you don't believe it in the God, then of course you wouldn't have a name to call the God.
Mhm.
But if you did call the God a name, what would the name be? Let's put it like that. And why do you not believe, Joe?
Very good. Thank you very much. My name is Joe. I used to call God Father also. I used to be a Mormon. I believe that God's actual name was Amen, and that he was formerly referred to as Elohim, which is the Hebrew word, plural word for God. And that was the God I actually did believe in. So I do have some reference to say the God that I don't believe in. First, the God I don't believe in is the God of Mormonism. But really, I don't believe in superstition. And I think that superstition is dangerous. And especially in a world where there is access to dangerous weapons, especially nuclear weapons and biological weapons, it's especially dangerous for people to be superstitious. And not to mention the fact that we have access to technology that spreads communication very quickly and allows dangerous memes to generate on a large scale. So the reason why I don't believe in God, I was actually a Mormon missionary in South America. When I realized in the process of selling Mormonism, as I like to call it, to other people, that I didn't really find the arguments for God compelling when I had to reason them out with logic. And after a long and serious crisis of faith, discovered that not only did I not believe in Mormon faith specifically, I didn't believe in God or believe in the value of faith at all. So that's how I came to discover that I was an agnostic, which is a Dawkins 6 agnostic, which means basically atheist.
Okay. Thank you so much for that, Joe. And you know what, Joe, when you were on the show previously, there were people that, well, people that reached out to me later and stated that they felt that maybe you were in the frame of mind that you were in because you were actually hurt by the Mormon, faith. They changed. They don't want to be called Mormon anymore, from what I understand. They've decided no Mormon, no LDS. They want to be called Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. That's a whole lot to spit out. But anyway, somebody stated that to me while you were on the show, but just kind of thought I'd throw that out there. But listen, let's go over here to Michael. Oh, I'm going to get that name down before this is over. You best believe it. Mr. Michael, I want you to talk to us about why because you said no. Okay. So why did you say no? You do not believe in a superior being called quote unquote God. But if you did, what would you call that God? And just tell us a little bit about where you stand on that, Michael.
You bet. Well, I do not believe in the Christian God, the Hindu God, or any gods whatsoever. As an atheist, I do not believe in any deities whatsoever. I've yet to see any evidence for any magical being that creates things or speaks to people or shows up to people. It just doesn't make any sense. If you read the Bible, specifically the Bible, you have to add magic in order for any of this to make any kind of logical sense. And magic, as we all know, is not real. The magic we see on television is an illusionist. There's no such thing as real magic. But in order to be a Christian, you have to completely believe in magic, because Yahweh has to produce things or do things or infect or influence things via something. And you call it spiritual awareness or spiritual guidance or whatever, but it's magic, you know. Somebody's breathing out things into existence. It's magic. I'm not mad at Yahweh. I get that a lot too. So I'm not mad at God for anything. I just don't believe he exists. And even if he was real, I've read his book, and there's no way I would worship him. Absolutely not.
Okay. Listen, now, Michael, you just said Yahweh. Who is that? And what are you talking about when you say that, please?
Yahweh, referring to the Christian God. He calls himself many names, and Yahweh is one of them. Okay.
All righty. Well, it looks like we see where these guys are coming from in this particular aspect. So my next question is, do you presently or did you previously believe in a denomination? And of course, it looks like Joe has already taken us there. And so I'll direct this question back to you, Mike. Do you presently, well, I don't think so, or did you previously believe in a denomination of some type? And if so, what is the name of this belief and why? Let's go back to you, Mike.
Thank you. I grew up in the evangelical church. I did teach Sunday school for a little bit. I was totally into it. I believed with everything until I started asking questions. Nobody could answer the questions. And then I read the book and then realized, again, you need magic for all this to work. So, and then I don't believe in magic. So there's that.
Okay. Do you believe in magic? Okay. All right. Let's go over here to Bill Cummings. Bill, talk to us about whether or not you were previously in a denomination. What denomination are you in now? And were you in one previously? And if so, why are you in the one that you're in now? And why are you no longer in the previous denomination, if that applies to you, Bill?
As I said, I grew up outside the church, so it was all immaterial to me. I never thought about it. I was busy training horses and learning to sing cowboy songs and to do trick roping and all that for my showbiz. But when I met him, I had this great urge to find out more about him, because shortly after I met him and began to doubt what had happened to me, I mean, when you meet God, that's pretty terrific. I had to pray the second prayer. And so I said, God, if you're real, prove it. That was simple prayer. I made two very simple prayers. And then I sat back and watched what God did to my life. They moved me into a path that took me to engineering. I met a woman that I adored who was engaged. He showed me how to unengage her. And we had 44 wonderful years together before she passed. The third thing that happened was that she was going to a small Methodist church. And so I started attending with her. The minister was very inspired. And what he taught me out of the Bible was what I already believed from the community and my parents. Just the fact they didn't take us to church didn't mean they weren't Christians. So you can be a Christian without going to church. But I got enthralled with it because I had had such a very vivid experience. You can't deny this. And when 9 or 10 years later, they asked me to start preaching in the pulpit, leading all the church functions as a Methodist. I went to their seminary and became a lay speaker, which meant that I could do everything but marry people and have communion, everything else in the church for 30-some years. Moved to Florida, and we just couldn't find a Methodist church that we liked, so we found a wonderful Westminster by the Sea Presbyterian church over on the coast, and it has been absolutely wonderful.
Okay, thank you for that history. Okay, listen, I want to go on here. So guys, I know that one of you gentlemen is you're sort of leaning in the atheist, but you say you might be agnostic or close to atheist, or sort of tweaks in between, or straddle the fence, or in the middle of the bush, or whatever. And then one is a staunch atheist. But my question is, have you guys studied the Bible at all? And if you have, well, I think I heard somebody say, yes, I've read the Bible. So if you've read the Bible, you studied the Bible, what Bible or what religious books or quote unquote holy books and what version of the Bibles have you used? Okay, and I want to go with I'm going to go with Michael. Michael, will you go ahead and tell me what you've used, what you use now, or whatever? Go for it.
The Bible I currently use is an NIV Bible. I got it from a hotel room, free. I have studied this thing thoroughly, inside and out, highlighted. I've marked, I've taken notes. I'm currently writing a book called The Bible Says What, same name as the podcast. Commentary, I'm working on the Greek part. I got to learn Greek first, though. Apparently everybody keeps telling me I got to learn the Greek to really understand it, so we'll see. But yeah, the NIV is basically what I go off of. You can go with King James. It's got a little harsher language every once in a while, but mainly the NIV.
Okay, thank you for that. Let's go to you, Joe, please. Elaborate, please. Thank you.
Sure. I'm very happy. If we're going to be Bible flashing, I'm going to flash my Bible. This is my Bible from my mission. It is the King James Version of the Bible as produced by the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, or the Mormon Church. In that it's basically the same KJV that except that the cross-references down at the bottom also cross-reference books in the other books of the Holy Scriptures, according to Mormonism, which is in this book right here, the Book of Mormon, Doctrine and Covenants, and the Pearl of Great Price. And I studied all of them very studiously when I was LDS or Mormon, which is what I will always call it. They now actually insist on being called Christians. That's just going to make it confusing. So, but yeah, and I believed very much in the Bible. I studied it very thoroughly, and I've read it cover to cover, Old and New Testament.
Okay, thank you for that. That's very interesting, you guys, both of you guys there. Let's go to William. William, same question, please.
Okay. I guess when I started reading the Bible at about 22 or 23, I actually went to church so I could get married in the church. and then we read the Revised Standard Version mostly back then, but my favorite is the King James Version. It has some errors, which are very explicit in it, but everybody knows what they are. And so when I was teaching Sunday school class, we threw all the material out and just studied the Bible. And that's all we studied. And it was a wonderful class there in Columbus, Ohio.
Okay. All right. So it looks like all three of you guys, interestingly to say, that all three of you guys study the Bible. Listen, everybody. Those of you who are watching out there, we got a Christian and two atheists. One atheist is sort of agnostic, possibly atheist. The other one is atheist. But even the other atheist told me that he was a pastor. That's something we're gonna have to chat with him about that too in just a minute. But listen, that this is all interesting to hear that all three of these guys study from the Bible. That's very interesting to know. Okay, so some denominations say that God, Jesus, and the Holy Spirit are one and the same. What do you say? Or are they three separate entities under your belief? And I'm going to start that with William, please. William?
Just threw me off the cliff, didn't you? No, I believe that they're all three separate entities, and I could go into a great proof of that. God is just three parts like we are. We have a mind, we have a body, we have a spirit, and they're all contained in here, and we're all one. But the mind does not substitute for the body, and the body doesn't substitute for the spirit. So those three parts are very important because all of society and all of creation is based on this three-legged stool, I call it, like I had back when I was milking cows on a three-legged milk stool. And that's another lesson in itself.
All righty. Let's go over here to Joe. Joe Rawlins, would you answer my question for me, please, in relation to the three? Are they all three one, or are they three separate entities? What do you believe?
It's a great question. When I was LDS or Mormon, which is what I will call it, because Russell M. Nelson doesn't tell me what to do. That's the prophet of the Mormon Church, if you didn't know. We believed that God the Father, Elohim or Amen, was one physical man, and that Yahweh or Jehovah or Son Amen or Jesus Christ was a separate man, and that the Holy Ghost, whose name we didn't know, is a separate spiritual being who would eventually also receive a body like God the Father and God the Son, and that they were in everywhere you could possibly describe three separate and distinct beings with names, histories, past. Even God the Father had an earthly life somewhere before he died and was resurrected. That's all unique Mormon theology. Wasn't always Mormon theology. It evolved. So.
Okay, thank you for that. I greatly appreciate it. Okay, so listen, let's go to Mike. You know, it's funny that these guys are supposedly Bible scholars. But yet they don't believe in the Bible. Okay, so Mike, you got a Bible that looks like to me it's been well used. So I want you to tell me, what is your take on the three? Are they all three one? God, Jesus, and the Holy Spirit? Are they all three one? Or are they three separate entities? Mike?
Well, I think that what I have found is that the Bible actually contradicts itself. I know it's crazy, but the Bible is not consistent when it comes to the Trinity. John 10:30, I and the Father are one. But Jesus prays to himself in the garden. So it just contradicts itself. It can't be one or the other. So therefore, I don't believe either. I don't believe either.
Okay. So there you have it. Now listen, everyone, I told you that I find it so interesting. The Wilding Show is really a very interesting show. I'm gonna assume that my other guest, Andrew Scatkin, I'm gonna assume that he had technical difficulty because he is about 40 minutes late getting to the Wilding Show, which people know I would throw you under the bus for being that late to get on my show. Okay, so I'm just gonna assume that he had technical difficulties. Let that be the reason. Because anything else, it's absolutely no excuse. Okay? So, Andrew Shatkin, welcome to the Wileena Show. Once again, you are a return guest, and I'm happy to see your face. Although you are quite late, and the show will be over in a few minutes, but you've missed quite a few questions. But we will see. You'll have to get in where you fit in. I'll put it like that. But either way, welcome to the show, Andrew Scatkin. Shatkin. You better tell me how to pronounce that last name because I struggled with it last time you were on the show, and I really don't want to struggle with it again. But anyway, go ahead. Hello, Andrew. How are you today?
Okay, let me tell you, I had a bit of difficulties because my USB and microphones had to be replaced. So I had to get over to the store and get it, and that's the reason. I'm really sorry about it. I was looking forward to the show, and I tell you the truth, I thought the show was, you sent me an email at 9 o'clock Eastern Standard Time, but maybe I was wrong.
Yeah. Okay. All right. So, yeah, you were wrong. Anyway, let's move forward, Andrew, and everybody, let's move forward. Okay, so next question. All right, guys, I want to know, do you guys work a day job? And I just simply want a yes or no on this question. Do you work a day job, Andrew? Yes or no?
I'm self-employed in my own business, and I work 7 days a week, day and night.
Okay. Joe, yes or no? Do you work a day job?
Yes, I do. I'm also self-employed. I know that's longer than yes or no.
Okay. Okay. Thank you. Mike, same question.
Yes, I have a day job and I'm self-employed.
Okay. All right. Thank you. William, same question.
My day job ended 24 years ago.
Okay. So, all right. So the answer is no. All right. So you guys will find out why I'm asking that question in just a minute. What type of work do you do in short? The one said, let me see, it was two of you that said yes, you do. So let's go with the two atheist guys. Matthew, what type of work do you do in short? Just, not your whole, not where you work and who you work for. I don't want to know all that. I just want to know what type of work do you do? Okay, thank you.
Well, Michael works with animals. I work with animals.
Boy, I tell you, I just can't. I can't get that right for nothing. It's something about that M word. Anyway, Joe. Michael, why you didn't name yourself Joe or something, something easy. Anyway, Joe, same question. Sorry, Michael. Same question, Joe.
You'd be surprised how easy it is to forget the name Joe. But anyways, yeah, I work in video production. I've worked in video production for 25 years.
Okay. Thank you for that. And Andrew, I believe you said you are self-employed or something to that effect. Is that correct, Andrew?
That's right.
Okay. All right. So, and you cover your household bills with this money.
Yeah.
Is that correct?
That's correct.
Michael.
Yes.
Joe.
Yes, most months, yes.
Okay. All right. And I'm not going to William because he already told me he don't work. So that's why we're skipping him. Okay, so what is the meaning of e pluribus unum? E pluribus unum. And I'm going to start with Michael. Michael?
Yeah, I'm here. It is out of many, one. I looked it up.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you. And Joe, so you've heard that before? Have you heard that terminology before?
Oh, sure. We strike it on the money. Yeah, out of many one. It's a philosophy. Okay, I know. Okay, I'll stop.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Okay. Okay. So it replaced. Well, it has been replaced. I'll put it like that. It has been replaced by what? Mike, what has it been replaced by?
In God we trust.
Thank you. All right. So with that being said, why are you using this money to pay your bills when you say that you do not believe in God? Seeing as how this money is labeled "In God We Trust," one might say that you should refuse to spend it. What do you say, Mike?
I think that's ridiculous. Of course I can spend money if it says "In God We Trust" on it. I can mark it off. I think it's a violation of the First Amendment. You know, there shall be no establishment of religion. So I don't think it should be there.
Okay, same question, Joe.
Thank you very much. Actually, the United States didn't have a motto before they came "In God We Trust." E pluribus unum was common to put on the currency in times past, but it was adopted in the 50s to create "In God We Trust." But it is what's important is that it's no way in the founding documents of the United States of America that "In God We Trust," nor the strange double entendre of the word trust being the material sense of trust as in money. And just has always bothered me that we would combine God in this idea that, for me, I've always disassociated from materialism with the most materialistic concept in the world, which is money. So even when I was a Mormon, that bothered me.
Interesting. So, Mike, I'm gonna pick on you guys for a second here, because the two Christian guys, they don't have a problem with "In God We Trust," because they trust God, quote unquote. So, of course, they're not gonna have a problem with. But Mike, are you gonna mark that off of the money and just keep spending it anyway, even though it's "In God We Trust" money? That money is supposed to be like, on the basis on a country that's built on God. So
Ooh.
what's going on, Mike? Why are you gonna continue to spend that money? Or are you just gonna go ahead and draw a line through that? What's up?
I have been known to draw a line through the "In God We Trust" part of it. But John Adams clearly said that the government of the United States is in no sense based or founded on the Christian religion. So putting the "In God We Trust" in there is, I think, ridiculous. First off, not all of us believe in the same God, and it violates the First Amendment, which, we shall establish no religion. I can still spend money.
Okay. I got a feeling you're going to keep right on spending that "In God We Trust" money anyway. No matter whose name is on it. Okay, so who is William J. Murray III? And I'm going to ask that question of Andrew. Andrew, who is William J. Murray III, please?
I have to say, Wylena, at this point, I can't answer that question because I don't exactly know.
Okay. All right. Thank you for your honesty. Same question, Bill Cummins.
Son.
I'm sorry, I didn't catch you. Go say it again.
I believe it's Madeline O'Hara's son.
Okay. How much do you know about this person, Joe?
Sorry, I'm here, I promise. I don't know much about him at all, to be honest with you. I couldn't really say.
Okay, thank you. What about you, Mike?
Well, Google says he's the chairman of a nonprofit organization. That's about all I got right now.
Okay, all right. Well, let me just give you guys the information that I have, so you can kind of, have it. Bill was on point with that. Born in May the 25th, 1946, is an American author, Baptist minister, and social conservative lobbyist who currently serves as the chairman of the Religious Freedom Coalition, a nonprofit organization, Mike, in Washington, D.C., active in issues related to aiding Christians in Islamic and communist countries. The son of the late atheist Madeline Murray O'Hare. Murray played a significant part alongside his mother in the ending of mandatory prayer in public schools in 1963. If you didn't know, now you know. Wouldn't you agree that this United States of America was supposedly found on the strength of believers in God? Yes or no, Andrew?
Yes. The reason why I say this is
Yes or no? Yes or no?
yes.
Simple yes or no. Okay, William, yes or no?
Yes. Did you hear me?
Okay.
I said yes.
Yes. Yes. Okay. Mike has already kind of touched on it a little bit, but let's go over here to Joe. Joe?
No, definitely not. I mean, I definitely.
Okay.
Okay,
you.
sorry.
Thank you. All right, Mike, yes or no?
Absolutely not.
I knew your answer was going to be no. Okay, so with one word answer, prayer in schools, are you for or are you against? William, are you for or are you against prayer in schools?
Yes. That has a condition on it, though.
Okay. Andrew?
For.
For or against?
For.
Okay. Joe?
Vehemently against.
Mike?
Against.
Okay. All right. Thank you, guys. So can you tell me a little bit about Engel versus, I'm not sure if I'm saying this word right, Vitale? Engel versus Vitale? Andrew?
I'm not sure I can answer that question because I don't know.
Okay. Okay. William? Engel versus Vitale?
Those cases that went to court going all the way back to 1890, but I don't recall the specifics. I'd have to have some notes in front of me.
Okay. Thank you. Joe, same question.
Yeah, so Engel versus Vitale was the first of several cases. Was later folded into another case in the following year. This is 1962, 1963, to address the question whether or not state officials could write a prayer that kids had to say. And it was deemed that they couldn't. And that, of course, folds into subsequent court decisions on the question of, gosh, do we have prayers in school at all? So it really was the kickoff to the question of, can the state compel children to pray the way they want them to pray?
Thank you. Mike, would you like to chime in on that as well? Joe did a pretty good job, but would you like to add anything to that?
Yeah, Joe said it beautifully. But they did ban school-sponsored prayer, so the school itself couldn't sponsor any prayer. They can still pray there and whatnot, but just no school-sponsored prayer.
Okay, thank you for that. Now, many would say prayer in school is constitutional and supports the principle of freedom of religion. on which the United States was founded. With this country being founded on believers in who many call God, wouldn't you agree that the people who say prayer should be in schools are rightfully so with their stance? If yes, why? If no, why not? And I'm going to start with Andrew.
I'm going to say, can I answer this in a couple of sentences?
Uh, you can answer it yes in a couple sentences. Yes.
Okay. This is the thing. First of all, the Declaration of let's get this cleared up about the status of God in the beginnings of our society. It says in the Declaration of Independence, all men, that's just a common term, includes women. They don't take it negatively. I don't think it was meant that way, Eileen. All men are created equal. It mentions God. There is an opening prayer in the Senate which refers to God. These are two instances. You cannot say that when the Declaration of Independence makes a specific reference to God, and the Senate opens with a prayer, you cannot say that a person. I think first of all, let me say what I think that's one reason I say prayer should be allowed in schools. It's allowed in the Senate. It's in our founding.
Okay. Thank you, Andrew. Thank you for that. Let's move on here to Joe. Same question, Joe.
Yeah, no, that's a great. I mean, really, that's what this all comes down to. What is the First Amendment? What is religious liberty in general as the founders intended it? Now, the very man who wrote those words, that all men are endowed by their creator with certain inalienable rights. Notice he doesn't say God, he says their creator, but I think he meant God. Is the same man who also wrote to the Danbury Baptist Association once he was president in 1801 that there needed to be a wall of separation between church and state. I just got going. Are you going to play me off? Because this is really good stuff. So the Danbury Baptist Association, Baptists were always concerned about religious liberty. They just weren't treated on the same par in early 19th century American and European society with other Protestants, particularly Episcopalians and so forth. And they were very concerned that there ought to be a diversity in the secular life of the government and how the government made decisions. And so that's the way it has actually been, according to the very man who wrote that all men are endowed by their creator with certain unalienable rights. And I could go on from there. I mean, a very interesting read for those at home. A good Google right now is the the Virginia Statute of Religious Freedom, written again by Thomas Jefferson, which became the foundation, the basis of the First Amendment. So this is a nation built by people who believed in God, no doubt about it. Even though a lot of people said nasty things about Thomas Jefferson, about his not believing in the true God, believers have always been doing that. But it was intended to be a secular institution.
Okay, thank you for that, Joe. Listen, everybody, I really wasn't going to open up the phone lines today, but I just kind of accidentally did so. And we have a caller on the line. And so if you're trying to call in, we'll stay with you for about another 5 minutes. And if you want to call in, the number is 702-850-5580. That's 702-850-5580. And if you want to call in to make a comment or ask a question of my guests, any one of my guests, we have two Christians and two atheists, or one agnostic and one atheist, or something like that. Anyway, the rubber meets the road on the Wileen Show. That part I do know. Okay, so listen, I have a caller on the line. Let's see who the caller is and what the caller has to say. Hello, caller. How are you?
All right, and you?
I'm fine, thank you. Will you state your name and where you're calling from, please?
Elder Miller, North Carolina.
All righty, then, Elder Miller, North Carolina. Wileen Show just wouldn't be the same without you.
Well,
Okay.
it would be the same. They just might not have as many questions as I intend to ask. Okay, I have a really interesting question for some of your guests, maybe all of your guests.
Okay.
I noticed earlier in the show that everybody on the panel studies the Bible.
Yes.
I also noticed that everybody on the panel is into it for one reason or another, either to prove that it's correct or to prove that it is incorrect. My question is for everybody.
Okay.
What does it profit you to prove that it is correct or incorrect? If you're an atheist and you don't believe in it, how does it profit you to study it to only prove that you don't believe? And if you are religious, how does it profit you to believe in the Bible? You're not quite able to prove that it's true. Now, there was a parable in the Bible when Thomas didn't believe Jesus was who he was, and God said, "Blessed is he that don't see and believe," as opposed to that one that saw and believed. So, I just want to know, if they're that into the Bible, what does it profit them to know or not know?
Okay. Let me just make sure that all three of my guests understood your question. Hang on, caller, please. Let me just make sure that all of my guests understood your question and are ready to give you an answer. Guests, would you please nod your head yes or no? Okay, I got three yeses. All right, I have one no. So, caller, I'm going to ask you.
Let me try it again.
Yeah, just make it as short as you can, but one guest is not understand. Go ahead.
What does it profit anyone to prove whether they believe in the Bible or not? If you don't believe, how does studying it to such length benefit you? And if you do believe, how does trying to prove that it exists benefit you?
Okay.
That is my question.
Okay. All right.
And let me say for the record, I enjoy your show and your guests and your topics. They have been thought-provoking every week.
All righty.
Joe, how you doing? Joe, Miss Wallin said earlier that she thought she was pulling our leg. I'm one of the people believe that you're a little bit closer to God than you say. But anyway, this is North Carolina, and I am out.
Okay. Thank you very much, North Carolina. Once again, always faithful. Okay. Listen, guests, the caller wants an answer. So let's see. I'm going to start with you, Andrew. And we're just going to go right down the line. And from Andrew to Joe to Mike and finally to Bill. So Andrew, go for it. Answer the question, the caller's question, please.
I can answer this question, that the Bible is true, every word of it. I'll tell you why, because it says things to me and to us and nobody has ever said. For example, take the 10 Commandments. It says not to commit adultery. That raised the status of women in those societies immeasurably. It says don't covet. That's a thinking crime. It's a thinking sin. That thinking was so advanced at that time, which God handed to them, that he said, don't even think jealousy. Don't even think it. He said it was wrong. The second thing is, throughout the Psalms and the Hebrew Bible are statements about concern for the poor, the widows, the orphan, the poor people. Jesus said the poor are blessed. He said the poor in spirit are blessed. Nobody's ever said anything like that in the world. That the world does not believe, and you know it, Miss Marlena, that our society, no society, does not believe poor people are superior. The Bible says they are. Okay? That's the reason I read the Bible, because it tells me the truth.
Thank you. Andrew. Joe?
Okay, well, thank you very much for that. Yeah, it's definitely possible. I don't think the Bible is historically accurate, and I don't think that the values it teaches, for the large part, are valuable to a modern society, even if some of them, however, are. And anybody who thinks that the Ten Commandments or that the teachings in the Law of Moses elevated the status of women in a society and in a dogma where men could sell their daughters' virginity and where they could take sex slaves, I just don't see that as being the objective morality of a God who sees goodness and badness for what they are, independent of subjective human opinion. So but I think that the teachings of God in the Bible, and whether it's the Old Testament or the New Testament, can be seen to be true or false on the basis, number one, of whether or not the persons who supposedly wrote them really existed, whether or not the God who supposedly taught those teachings can be seen to exist, and whether or not the historical context can even exist for which those characters could have created those things. If we know that these characters are fictional, then we know that the fictions were created by men who were trying to achieve a particular aim that was subjective to just them. Now, what that aim was is interesting, I think, given from a historical perspective. That's my opinion.
Okay, thank you, Joe. Mike, you're next.
You bet. So why do I study the Bible? That was the question, right? Because people believe it. Because people believe it to be true. People follow this book. People vote based on their beliefs from this book. Religion is toxic, and it can be used to justify horrific actions. So I use it. I use the Bible to research, to have a conversation. Because when you have a conversation with a Christian or a theist of some sort, it usually goes back to the Bible. So you got to know your Bible in order to have that conversation. So I found through my research that many Christians haven't actually read the Bible or don't know what's in there. So I find that if I have the knowledge that they don't, then I have a little bit of an upper hand.
Okay, I hear what you guys are saying. I'm not absolutely sure that you guys are really answering the caller's question, but let me go to Bill. Bill, your turn.
Okay. First of all, when I wanted to be a cowboy, I had to learn to think like a cowboy, a singing cowboy, horse trainer. When I met God, I was impressed the fact that he said to me, Bill, I've been waiting for you. Now that was awesome. Once I thought about all the millions of people down there that he knew my name. When I wanted to be an engineer, I had to learn to think like an engineer. Same with parenting, same with marriage, the same with engineering, as I said. If you're going to turn and become a follower of God, you got to learn to think like he does. Very simple. And you do that in every case of your life. There's no shortcut to mastering anything. And the main feature is you want to learn to think that way, and then you'll be that way.
Well, guys, I'm not too sure if for some reason I felt like there was a different question there. It seemed to me as though the caller was asking, why are you guys trying to prove either way? Since everybody studies the Bible, why are you trying to prove that the Bible is correct, or why are you trying to prove that the Bible is incorrect? Now, did anybody in this group get that from the caller? Okay, so can we try this again? Because I don't feel that you gave the answer I just don't feel that you answered the question. And if you think you answered it, then that's fine. It's all good. But I'm gonna give you one more shot at that. I'm gonna go back to let's go back to Andrew and let's try this one more time, and then we're getting out of here, you guys. Andrew, I think the caller was asking, since you believe that the Bible is correct and all that, why are you trying to prove it? And since you believe that the Bible is incorrect, why are you trying to prove it? I believe that's what the caller said. try not to repeat or iterate on what my callers say, because I really want the guests to get it in their own head, because I don't want to repeat it the wrong way. But that seems to me as though that's what I got from the caller. Andrew, try that again, would you please?
I'd be glad to. The Bible for me is correct because what is stated in the Bible is not backward, as has been implied by my guests, or products of a sex slave society. In fact, the book of Genesis, chapters 1 and 2, say he created men and women equal. That is the last word on this issue. That is the most advanced thought I can think of. It's ahead of its 3,000 years ahead of its time. St. Paul says there's neither Greek nor slave nor free, all are one in Christ. Again, he is putting women not on an unequal status, but a perfectly equal status. I see these things, I hear these statements, they tell me, they reach into my mind and into my heart, and I see them as true. They prove to me as true. I think people are equal. I don't think there's a great deal of inequality between men and women, except people that want it that way, or on a racial basis. But that's the reason I believe the Bible.
Okay. Okay. All right, Joe, last chance. Go.
Sorry, I found the button. There we go. In brief answer to the question why it's important, I think that Michael addressed it perfectly. People believe it, and it affects the way they vote. It affects the decisions they make. It affects why they go into military service. It affects why they go out and do what our country asks them to do out there. And it's relevant to our society. Now, I think that what Elder Miller was saying, and from Elder Rawlins, former Mormon, I'll have to say this ex-Mormon's got to buy you a beer, sir, because you've been a great caller, and I've enjoyed your answers very much. Is even if you do or don't want to prove that the Bible is true, there has to be a context for how it is true. I mean, you've got this conversation that the gentleman that Andrew and I are having somewhat about women being treated like chattel in this ancient society. I mean, you can read one or two passages and interpret that as women, according to God, are equals. But you can go on to find that the same St. Paul, supposedly, had said that women are supposed to remain silent in churches, or that if they preach or prophesy with their head uncovered, then they dishonor themselves. I mean, and that goes once again to my point of whether or not these people really exist. We know that some of the Pauline epistles are considered to be valid. Some are questionable in their authorship, whether or not they were actually written by St. Paul, and some we know to be outright forgeries. That's an important factor in deciding whether or not the Bible is true and whether or not its teachings are worth telling. And coincidentally, St. Paul becomes a much less misogynistic character when you decide that some of St. Paul's teachings and his writings are not actually St. Paul. They were actually forgeries invented by other people. So that's why I say the historical context is important. And I'm done. I finished.
Okay. Yeah, you'll be done. You'll be done. Stick a fork in you. Okay, Mike, come on. Make it short, man. We got to get out of here. Go, Mike.
First off, I'm not trying to prove the Bible wrong. That is not my goal. My goal is to figure out why people believe the craziness, the crazy things that are in there, and the magic and the talking animals and the guys coming back from the dead. So I'm not trying to prove it wrong. That's not my purpose.
Okay, thank you. He says he's not trying to prove it wrong. Okay, William, this is it. Final cut. You are the last one, and make it short and to the point, please. Thank you, William.
First of all, you read the Bible if you want to understand what God is like and learn about him. And the same reason I studied all those books in engineering, reason I trained horses by reading books. The Bible is the support system and the guidance system that will teach you how to live your life.
Okay. Well, there we have it. Okay. All right, you guys. So listen, we got to get up out of here. Okay, we got to get up out of here. I understand, and I know you know what time goes by fast when you're having fun. Just as sure as my name is Wylena. All right. So listen, everybody, we're gonna be back next week, and when we come back next week, it will be part two, and it's gonna be part two of prayer in school. Why pray in school? Okay? Why pray in schools? And to pray or not to pray? That's the question. Okay, so listen, everybody. I want to thank all four of my guests. All four of my guests. Andrew Shatkin, who was late. But thanks, Andrew, for tuning in and being with us. Okay, Joe Rawlins of the Atheist Beliefs Agnostic, aka Agnostic, and Mike. Y'all see there? I got it right. Michael Wiseman. Michael Wiseman of the Bible Says What? And he is that of the Atheist Belief. And last but surely not least, William Cummins. And they call him the Singing Cowboy. Well, y'all know who I am. I'm Wylena, the Las Vegas Queen of Gospel. And y'all know what show this is. This is the Wylena Show. And this is where the rubber meets the road. We'll see you next week.